Hello everyone and welcome back to Mentos Plays The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, episode 5. Let's do a random character again here, because I think that is a good way to handle things. And we random Maggie, probably my least favorite character. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, game, I see what you mean. You gave me a character that I'm not a big fan of, but you gave me items that I love. We're going to use Yum Heart. We're going to keep Guppy's head. We use Yum Heart so that we're only a half heart down instead of a full heart. This is pretty much a one run. There's a chance that I blow this, but having Mom's knife and Guppy's head on the first floor is pretty much a signifier of a run that will go well. While I have taken an absurd amount of damage from overconfidence, there is very little chance that we are going to lose this run. Spoiler alert. It still could happen if we don't get items that, you know, synergize or give us a little bit of help. We might have a chance of losing this, but I mean, come on, we have items that are going to potentially synergize very well into the late game already. And that puts us in a good position. The Haunt, not a big deal. I know a lot of people find the Haunt to be one of the most difficult bosses. Of course, I'm failing to at all hit him. Oh, come on. If I could land a single shot with the knife, this would be going much better. Oh, God. Don't talk about how easy the Haunt is and how good our items are, and then completely blow it on the first boss fight. Because you are having trouble aiming. Dear Lord. Oh, God. I'm gotta add some drama, you know? It's clearly what's happening, is I'm just adding drama to make things more interesting and exciting. It's not an accident at all. That was all intentional damage, you know? All perfectly intentional. Let's see what happens next. Okay, well, we want to put a bomb right here. Gives us one spirit heart. I was hoping for two, but one works. Get a couple more bombs out of it as well. No keys though, which is going to make getting to our item room rather difficult, of course. But we'll get keys eventually. Okay. The flies made things a little bit harder there. Anything interesting over here? Nope, nothing worth using a bomb or walking over spikes for, so on we go. We found our boss room already. We are going to go fight it before we lose our spirit heart, to increase our odds of a deal with the devil. There we go. Stem cells, a nice HP up for us. And what do we have? The Pact and the Book of Belial. We will be taking the Pact. And we'll go searching for anything else of interest on this floor, namely keys. If we could get some keys, that would be great. That tinted rock that I missed the first time we'll take care of. Get our bomb back as well as the spirit heart. And down to the bottom of the floor, where we haven't explored yet. So one frustrating thing about taking the right path right away is then you end up having to go back and look through all the rooms that you skipped over to begin with. That turned out to be ones that, ooh. Okay, game. You just want to help me out on this run, don't you? Well, I've already been there, otherwise that would have been really, really awesome, but let's see if we can find a secret room. There are only a couple of places it could be. And since there are rocks over there, I think it has to be here. Yes, sir. Now, first things first, we're going to blow up this slot machine and the exit to the item room, which gives us 2 keys. The Butterbean! One of the worst items in the game. Let's take Guppy's head back, shall we? Then we're going to use a bomb to get into the shop since we only have 2 keys. PhD isn't terrible, but 15 cents, not really. Same thing with the ladder. I think we'll pass on both of those. We are going to pick up the swallowed penny here, which is going to give us a chance for the piggy bank effect when we get hit, which is, you know, a good way to get more money, although we already have a lot thanks to that random quarter drop. We're sitting pretty right now. We are sitting very pretty right now, and things got a little bit worrisome there for a second. I was playing poorly. I almost died to the Haunt after saying how easy he was. And now we're kind of rolling. We got stuff together. and I think things are gonna go just fine. Building up a little fly army here while there were rooms I could just kill in literally one knife throw before the flies had a chance to react, and a golden key. So our key problems have been solved forever. Well, not forever, but for this floor. We don't have to worry about keys for probably the next 2 floors, honestly. Yet another key. Yeah, that's right. Another key, but I don't have the ladder that I could have bought last floor, otherwise I could get that. You know what, sure, why not? It's a pill. Not all that hyped about a pill, but, you know, pills are potentially really good. They're also potentially really bad. This guy won't be a problem. Speed down as Maggie. Speed down as Maggie. Great. So the game decided to need to be a little bit of a troll to me at least. We get Demon Baby again. I guess a little bit more useful on a Mom's Knife run, but still not, you know. It's not going to give us anything interesting synergy-wise, so it's not a big deal to pick up. More flies, please. Set up this way. I hate how much health those giant spiders have. Like, do they really need that much health? Is that a thing that needed to happen, was to make those things, like, incredibly strong? Also, I always find it odd when you have bosses, when you have things like Teratoma at random on a room like this. You know, something that is ordinarily a boss for these floors, I believe, actually. Like, I think Teratoma... Actually, doesn't Teratoma normally appear on the womb, if anywhere? And yet here he is, floating around, hanging out on the caves, just as a regular enemy in a room. Let's go take out our boss real quick. Pestilence. We're going to get a cube of meat or a ball of bandages. Either way is a little bit of defense. There's an Eternal Dart there. I would rather not pick it up. Thank you. Because there may be an arcade somewhere on this floor still. You know what? We're going to buy both of these. Blue map is going to show us where the secret rooms are. Black candle is going to make sure that we are immune to curse. It is a good combo. It is a very good combo. The immunity to curse comes into play more ways than you would think. I believe, from what I've heard at least, I haven't actually tested this on my own, but I've heard that Black Candle actually makes you immune to the curse from Cursed Eye as well. So if you pick up Cursed Eye while having the Black Candle, you don't have to worry about being hit when you are charging, because it's not actually going to do anything to you. You're just going to take the damage like normal and continue on. Which means that the Black Candle makes Cursed Eye go from a very, very tough to use item into a very viable item, pretty much entirely on its own, with some very good synergy. And that's the kind of thing that I like to see. You know, I did a bunch of hard mode runs off camera because I thought that I needed to do so to get Platinum God. Turns out I hadn't gotten that lamb kill I talked about. The reason I don't do hard mode runs more often is because part of my favorite thing about Isaac is the fact of getting all these different items, seeing how they interact, you know, building up a powerful force, whatever, what have you. Hard mode seems to be balanced on the idea that the best way to make the game harder is to limit the number of items that you have. There's a sound like I had just beaten the boss, I think, when I walked in there. Anyway, the reason I don't play on hard mode a whole lot, naturally, is because I feel like it was balanced in the wrong way. You know, I understand where they were coming from because, you know, limiting the amount of consumable drops and by extension, outside of very good runs, you know, limiting the amount of items you're going to get, it does make the game harder. But it also takes away one of the main draws of the game, in that building up, you know, this array of items and seeing how they all interact and seeing, you know, how everything goes with all these items. It feels kind of silly to make a game that's based around that have hard mode, which pretty much relies on limiting the amount of items that you get. I think that makes sense as I phrase it, but you know, it would have been nice to see something more along the lines of, more types of champions or other things that might make things more difficult from an actual gameplay difficulty standpoint instead of from a you just don't get as many items standpoint. Double pin, probably the easiest thing you could ask for here. And so I probably will spend some time on hard mode, but fuck yes, Abaddon. So I probably will spend some time on hard mode eventually on this series, but at the same time I feel like normal mode gives a better... It makes the game more fun in my opinion, because it keeps the main draw of the game intact instead of kind of limiting the main draw for the sake of difficulty. You know, if you're talking, what's a good example here? If we're talking like, let's say, Diablo, and the way that Diablo got more difficult wasn't more difficult enemies, wasn't more difficult, you know, situations, it was that you got less item drops. I don't think people would like hard mode in it very much, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how I feel sitting with the Isaac hard mode, is that it relies too much on removing one of the fun draws of the game, instead of on making itself more difficult. That is anemic, toxic blood, not a great item. You know, occasionally, when you get hit, you're going to drop a little bit of a blood trail for a while. Damages enemies. You know, not horrible, but not the most useful thing in the world. We've got a double key room. Do I dare risk it? Let's go. Okay, well that wasn't all that great. I would have preferred many things to a room that gave me, you know, one bomb and a bunch of spiders for 2 keys. That seems like a pretty terrible trade for me. You can also check this out now. You know what? Boss trap room. What's up, buddy? Oh, come on. Let's just not talk about that one, huh? Can we just not talk about the hit I took to that little poop? Let's head down this way, back to the boss room to exit the floor. There's one room at least we didn't check, but not a big deal to miss it. So yeah, hard mode will be a thing that I do on camera, but really I just don't find it as fun. I find that it takes away a large part of the draw that has kept me playing Isaac and now Rebirth for a combined 1200 plus hours. You know, it's not to say it's a bad mode, it's not to say that it was poorly designed, it's just not a design choice that really resonates with me. I definitely see where they were coming from, I definitely see how that made sense, but it's definitely something that, for me as someone who enjoys getting item synergies and getting, you know, things built up for combos that you might not expect initially, that's the funnest part of the game for me, and to have that limited by simply not getting access to item rooms as often, there has to be something that draws me in other than that, and just being a bit more difficult isn't something that's going to draw me to enjoy something that takes away the main draw of the game. Like I said, if you took away item draw, and if you limited how many items you get in Diablo as it got on harder difficulties, instead of, as I believe Diablo normally works, if I recall correctly, of, you know, actually giving you higher level loot drops as you get into the harder difficulties, I think people would be very, very much against playing those higher difficulties, and that's kind of how I feel with hard mode in Isaac right now. Is just why play something that is going to limit me in such a artificial way instead of challenge me in a more meaningful way. We are going to buy Champion Belt. It's going to give us a little bit more damage as well as more champion spawns, which is of course going to mean more consumables for us. We get a pill, health up, okay. Pheromones, okay, health up again. Pretty fly, and... okay. That was a very, very productive room there. We got back almost all the health we lost from taking Abaddon. And I don't mean that by the health actually spent on Abaddon, I mean that as the health lost due to its effect of removing all your red hearts. Let's go fight Double Haunt. I was gonna say, one good knife shot should do it. There we go. That was a much better play of the hunt. And now we get another devil room. Guppy's collar. It's gonna be 2 of 3 Guppy items. One more and we become a kitty cat, and I would very much like to do that. Get flying under our belt, get our damage situation pumped up even more, although we are doing incredible damage thus far. This is a run where a boss rush is potentially viable. Book of Shadows, I would rather have Guppy's head, but I appreciate the offer. What is our time right now? Just shy of 14 minutes. Okay, we have enough time to go look through the last few of these rooms, see if there's a curse room that might have a Guppy item in it. I don't know why I came in here. I knew there wouldn't be any rooms off of it. Let's go this way next, I guess. Okay, it's a sacrifice room. And pick up this bomb we left behind before. We still have the effects of that speed down wearing us down, which is unfortunate. We are going to open this golden chest as well. Not worth it really, but you know, you gotta take the chance. And a challenge room with 1 great chest that we aren't going to bother with. Well, let's head down to the depths part 2 and see if we can get to the boss rush in time, while not screwing ourselves out of items in the item room, because it's really not beneficial if you have to take a loss that you would otherwise get to get in there. From a standpoint of, you know, completionism, yeah, there are going to be times when skipping an item is worth it to get the slot on the post-it filled out, but when we're talking about just, you know, random gameplay, not so much worth skipping items for the sake of getting in there. Granted, you could argue that you get 2 items from it instead of the 1 that you get from the regular item room, but is that really... Oh god, I didn't even realize that you were a laser dude. I thought you were another one of the chub shooters. Not that much of interest going on in there. There's our mom fight. Again, we aren't going to rush to it. We have, you know, 5 minutes left to get to our boss rush. It's a curse room. To make very sure I don't use that pill, we're going to drop it. Okay, the robes are not, you know, a great item. They aren't going to give us Guppy, but they are going to give us more health than we walked in with. Dead end room. Now we'll wrap around this way. You know, I have heard a lot of talk about how a lot of the key rooms tend to be attached to larger rooms, which I think does hold merit, but I also don't think it's so much a quirk of room generation so much as a quirk of the larger the room, the more exits it has off of it. So, you know, if you have a room with 8 exits, is it more likely to find something attached to that, or a room with 4 exits? Probably the one with 8. Our damage is really, really good right now, by the way. Monster 2 is usually a somewhat tanky boss, but we just... Oh, come on, how was I supposed to do anything about that? But, in that situation, he certainly didn't pose any bit of a threat. You know what, let's, do this. We might be able to get Fate and start flying. Or just a bunch of money and bombs. If we do have a shop on this floor that's not greed, that could be useful to us. Kill the dingles. There we go. And here's our shop and our item room right next to each other. Perfect. Cursed Eye, I'm not even going to take, not because it's any risk, but because it is actually completely worthless to us. There is literally no benefit to Cursed Eye with Mom's Knife. It doesn't shoot out, you know, 5 knives, it just shoots out 1. So why bother with that is my thoughts on the matter. I haven't gotten into the second secret room yet. We'll go in there. And then we will have plenty of time to get to the to get to the boss rush as well, which we will probably take the time to do. Polaroid, I didn't really, have a specific one I was going to take in mind. I just happened to be standing on that one. I know. The D4 could be fun, but I kind of like how our run is right now. That's not to say that I won't reroll it if I get a reroll room, but I'm not really going to take the D4 for it. If it was the D100, I probably would, because I don't think the D100 has the same glitch that the D4 does, which is that after a certain point you exhaust the item pools and you end up getting just breakfast over and over again. And so you end up getting nothing but a full heal every time you use the D4 with base stats, which is not a very good thing to have. But yeah, so it's nothing against the D4 as an item, it's just that at the moment there is a risk that if you actually try to use it consistently, then it ends up causing you more problems than it helps. I should have known the laser was coming. He always starts with the laser. Yeah, that's right, bitch. Eat it. And you eat it too, Hollow. Oh god. Okay. Goodbye, bloat. Goodbye, heart. Goodbye, mask. Goodbye, famine. And pestilence. And war. And very soon death. And the fallen. And the pony. And this one bombfly that survived. There we go. Boss rush complete. I am not going to take that. No, you can't make me. Like I said, I like our run right now. I want to continue this very, very powerful build. I am not going to take an item that is most likely going to screw up the powerfulness of this build. I forgot that we don't have item, and that we don't have anything but the blue map. But knowing the second secret room is down there kind of implies to me that the boss room is going to be down that way as well. The second secret room does tend to appear closer to the boss room than other places. So let us head this way. We are probably just about at the boss room already. We have more than enough keys to use for the chest when we get there. Oh, that was not the boss room. Touché, game, you have fooled me. You have fooled me well. We didn't really need to pick that up, but it made one of our soul hearts into a black heart. So that works. These guys can potentially be dicks and pop up directly underneath you. Many a lost run have been lost to that exact fact. I say as I walk over a spike, which is one thing that I don't think any of my lost runs have ever been lost to, due to the fact that, you fly, and the only spikes that can actually hurt you are in the sacrifice room, which why would you even consider flying over the spikes of, because it can't help you anyway. I forgot that I couldn't fly for a second there and almost took damage because of it. Okay, boss fight time. Oh, it's Mama Gertie. I remember you on our last run. Really? Not another Guppy item. I'm not gonna take Little Brimstone. He's not worth it right now. He's not worth my only red heart for the very small comparatively amount of damage he's gonna do. And I usually love having Little Brimstone. Yes, donation machine! And we'll just take a little break here, donate as much as we possibly can, which is going to be a whole heck of a lot. Actually, let me donate everything. Oh, that takes my black heart first. Okay. I thought that it would work. I mean, I didn't realize that it didn't work the same as in base Isaac, and take one half of your red heart and half of a spirit heart. So that kind of took me off guard. Wait, there's still enemies alive? But the white dude died. I thought they only die when everything else in the room is dead. I learned a cool trick in Cobalt Streak's channel. If you don't know him, he is a very, very high profile Isaac streamer. The dude is impeccably good most times at the game. And he had Isaac's heart, and he found the razor blade, which doesn't do any damage to you when you have Isaac's heart. And he also had, I believe it was infestation, or maybe it was guppy mode, so he was spawning hearts. But either way, he was spawning flies when he was hit. And he used the razor blade a huge amount of times to try to make his tears massive on one room that was empty at the time, because his tears would just kill anything in the room the second he fired them anyway, even if it was a large room such as the one he was testing it in like this. But regardless, he spawned so many flies that his familiars actually stopped following him, which, you know, normally is kind of a detriment. It's taking away some of your attack power, right? Well, when you have Isaac's heart and your familiars disappear, your hitbox is a familiar. So if you spawn enough flies while having Isaac's heart, you don't just, you know, lose out your familiars, you actually lose your hitbox and become entirely invincible for the remainder of the run. Or, I shouldn't say for the remainder of the run, it's actually for the remainder of the time you have enough flies actively spawned to do so. So that's a really, really interesting thing to know, that you can actively make yourself invincible simply by spawning enough flies and having Isaac's heart, which is another use for the item, as well as the inherent use of, hey, you can use the razor blade and the blood bank and the demon beggars all without getting hurt. But it's definitely a big boost for an item that is, in general, pretty bad. You know, I can't think of a single time, outside of having those specific synergies that I wanted to use, that I would take that item, because it makes it so hard to dodge. But, if you've got the right synergies, it can literally make you invincible. And that is pretty cool. You know, there's something to be said for never trying to use those, like, infinite glitches, those infinite combos, not really glitches, but combos. There's something to be said against using them, because, you know, when you win a run and you haven't actually fought for it, there's not much to it. You're just like, oh look, I won the run that I was invincible for, yay! Who would have thought? But at the same time, when you do put together an infinite combo, there's a satisfaction in that as well, you know? Like, if you used, like, there was the glitch with 9 lives on the last version, where if you were playing as a Lost and you got 9 lives, essentially what would happen was it would spawn you with a red heart, but since the Lost couldn't have health, it didn't register the red heart. And so every time you got hit, instead of killing you, it was registering a damage to that red heart that didn't exist, and it made you completely invincible for the remainder of the run. And, you know, trying to beat the Lost like that, if that's the way that it takes to get the unlocks done, go ahead and do it. But you're not going to have the sense of satisfaction you have from actually fighting through the entirety of hard mode as a character where if you get hit once, you die. You know, my biggest frustration with the Lost was never the gameplay mechanic. It was the fact that you needed to have, essentially, certain items to really have a chance of things. you know, you would spend more time restarting for a holy mantle or dead cat right away than you would actually playing the runs, and that is a very frustrating situation to be in. But the actual runs themselves weren't so bad. I never got all that frustrated from the runs themselves. That's a lot of Zodiac items I just got, and the aforementioned Isaac's Heart. But I don't have anything that synergizes with that, so I guess I'll just take this one, and this one, and this one. I'm gonna guess top right for the boss then, since that's where our second secret room is. Again, it's not a rule, but it does seem to be a pattern that the boss room is near the second secret room, and vice versa. I'm gonna have to start going up at some point. The question is when. Hey, that's right, bitch. Eat it, Death. Eat it. Oh look, Gertie. Formerly the tankiest boss in the game. Not anymore the tankiest. That award goes to the Cage. The Cage is just dickishly high health. But, you know, it is, Gertie at one point was just absurdly tanky compared to anything else in the game. Okay. Well, that was kind of odd. Mr. Boom! No thank you. Hey look, we get round 3 against the Hans. This guy just doesn't know when to quit, does he? Like, I killed him back on the cellar. And then I killed him again and I killed 2 of them again on the depths. And then he shows back up on the chest just to be like, yo dude, I still believe in myself. And that's noble, you know, to believe in yourself after suffering crushing defeats multiple times. But, I mean, at some point you gotta give up, right? At some point you gotta be like, this just isn't worth it anymore. And the Hunt has apparently not reached that point. I don't know if Gemini's damage is based on your own, but if it is, he's probably doing a whole lot right now. Shall we go kill Blue Baby? Hey buddy. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye. Oh, so the game has followed up that, the game has followed up that terrible, abysmal run we had last time with a glorious run that was so incredibly overpowered. That's the magic of Isaac that I feel hard mode loses right there. Is the fact that, you know, yeah, it's possible. It is possible for that to happen in hard mode. But the chances of us having a run like that, where things are just so drastically night and day between 2 runs in terms of power, is much rarer on hard mode. And that's kind of one of my favorite things about the game, is that fluctuation. You know, in the original Isaac I got to a point where being anything less than super powerful was kind of frustrating just because I had won so many runs that I had no business winning. But in this one, that feeling of success for winning these kind of runs, that we don't have much power, is still there. But getting a run like that after a failed run is so satisfying. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We'll be back at least one more episode this week, because I got plenty of time to record one more. So yeah, we'll be back with one more this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Later, everyone. Have a good one.